So hello everyone, this is Kushal Sarkar from Fodu Club, and in this video, let's quickly summarize and analyze both the shifts of 26th May so that you have a proper idea of what is the level of paper in these two shifts and overall how is the paper, from which topics questions are being asked, and what is the overall difficulty level of the paper. Now it's good that you are watching this video, but if you have your exam ahead, I have a request for you. Please don't assume कि तुम्हारे साथ भी same होने वाला है. That will not happen because every shift of BITSAT is very different and nobody knows that what is going to happen और किस shift में कौन सा weightage आएगा. But still एक छोटा सा analysis video helps to get a surface level idea. Don't watch too many videos and waste your time. Just focus on your exam, keep your calm and go and give BITSAT. So we have floated a form in our Fodu Club community, and from there, after collecting the data from thousands of students, we are making this video. A lot of students did immensely well, scored 250 plus marks, 300 plus marks, and many even scored 350 plus marks. So I just want to tell all of those club mates, we are really proud of you. So let us first talk about the 26th May shift 1, starting with physics. Physics was moderate to tough level. Now questions were not numerically very heavy or numerically very tough, but questions were very conceptual and tricky. So वैसा ही देखा गया कि a lot of conceptual theoretical questions जिसमें conceptual clarity बहुत ज़्यादा important है, ऐसे questions काफ़ी पूछे गए. So few chapters which dominated a lot were optics, modern physics, electrostatics and mechanics. So this was pretty much expected कि इन बड़े chunks से तो नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस बहुत सारे आने ही वाले हैं. इसके नीचे बात करें तो हीट एंड थर्मोडायनेमिक्स, करंट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी एंड इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक इंडक्शन से भी काफी क्वेश्चंस आए थे. सो फिजिक्स का लेवल वी कैन से समवेयर नियर टू जेई मेन, बट क्वेश्चंस आर मोर ऑन अ कंसेप्चुअल साइड रादर देन की फॉर्मूला लगाओ आंसर लाओ. Now let's talk about chemistry. Again, chemistry was as expected completely from the NCERT textbook. जैसा तो mocks देता है, chemistry level was very much similar to that. But again, as we keep saying कि NCERT की line by line reading कितनी ज़्यादा important and questions can come from any nook and corner of the book, and that's what has happened. Many questions were tricky and from different parts of NCERT which many students often skip. बट NCERT के कहीं से भी क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री सरप्राइजिंगली वाज मोस्ट डोमिनेंट. काफी सारे क्वेश्चंस फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री के आए थे, दो दे वर नॉट दैट डिफिकल्ट, दे वर इन एन इजी कैटेगरी, बट अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस वर फ्रॉम फिजिकल केमिस्ट्री. देन फ्रॉम ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, सरप्राइजिंगली लास्ट ईयर देयर वाजंट मच वेटेज ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री. अब जो पास्ट ईयर ट्रेंड्स के हिसाब से चल रहा था कि पास्ट ईयर जैसा ही होगा, अगेन BITSAT हैज अगेन सरप्राइज्ड यू. दिस ईयर ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री हैज डोमिनेटेड इन द शिफ्ट 1 का पेपर, एंड उसके बाद थर्ड नंबर पे आता है इनऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री. अब इनऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री ब्लॉक केमिस्ट्री से काफी क्वेश्चंस आए थे, स्पेशली पी ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स अगर हम देखें. सो अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस वेर आस्क्ड फ्रॉम पी ब्लॉक एलिमेंट्स which is not there in JEE main. So that's why you can imagine deleted portion is also very important for BITSAT. Take a note of this for your second attempt as well. So do all the chapters that are deleted in JEE main very properly. They hold a very huge weightage. Chapters like biomolecules and polymers, again these are deleted in JEE main, but a lot of questions were asked from these two chapters as well. Ionic equilibrium, thermodynamics and chemical bonding, तीनों ही बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर्स हैं एंड दे हैड अ गुड वेटेज इन द ओवरऑल पेपर. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट मैथ्स. Maths paper was somewhere from moderate to difficult level considering the level that is being asked in BITSAT. तो normal एक average paper of BITSAT से the level of maths was definitely higher. So a student who has given more than 10 mocks, 15 mocks, they will be well equipped with all of these conditions properly. क्योंकि किसी mock में maths easy रहता है, किसी mocks में maths will be difficult. So you have to be ready to tackle any kind of a situation, but not that difficult. तुम question देख के अगर थोड़ा सा दिमाग लगाओगे, so you will be able to solve that. The only thing was that questions were very lengthy. They involved a lot of calculations. That's what we received from the student data, that questions were very calculative, and therefore if you don't have a proper time management, if you don't know how to skip questions which are the trap questions, and you should not spend time on those trap questions, then you will get stuck and end up wasting a lot of your time. So talking about the topics of mathematics, सबसे ज़्यादा जो dominant था that was calculus. Calculus में भी specifically differentiation and integration and differential equation, students are saying that it had really good questions and tough level questions. बाकी as expected, application of derivative, coordinate geometry, especially straight line and circles, quadratic equations and complex numbers say there were a lot of questions. Vector 3D, one of the most easiest topics and scoring topics, had a lot of questions. So if you had done that chapter properly, बहुत सारे questions तुम solve करके आए होंगे. Now let's talk about English and LR. English and LR were a huge relief for students. It was very very easy. Even questions of English में बहुत doubt होता है बच्चों को कैसे हम कर पाएंगे, but it was very straightforward and very very doable. 6 to 7 questions were very very doable, and इसके अलावा LR was also pretty straightforward. कुछ questions tricky थे, but again English and LR were very very scoring. As we keep shouting how important is English and LR, now you must have understood कि how much of a lifesaver English and LR is. So this paper had around moderate level difficulty. Physics, chemistry, English and LR were pretty doable. Maths was thoda sa above the level and had lengthy calculations. So if you had a decent preparation, gave 10 to 15 mock tests properly, तो paper काफी ज़्यादा doable था. Now let's quickly talk about the shift 2. Shift 2 was also again around moderate difficulty level. Shift 2 mein, now you will see that how the paper varies from shift to shift. In the shift 1 it had a lot of conceptual questions, tricky kind of a question, but the paper 2 had around 25 to 30% of the questions very very lengthy, calculative, and which require multiple steps, which again took a lot of your time. So physics was doable but lengthy. If you didn't know how to manage time well, probably कहीं ना कहीं you would have get stuck. So let me quickly tell you about the topics. ठीक है. So unlike in the shift 1, modern physics उतना ज़्यादा नहीं आया था. In the shift 2 there were questions from mechanics, specifically from rotational motion, projectile motion, friction based problems, which are pretty standard and easy. Electrostatics, again there were questions from electric potential, capacitors, Gauss law, काफ़ी ज़्यादा बार रिपीट हुआ. ऐसा कोई आउट ऑफ द वे जाके कोई कॉन्सेप्ट टेस्ट नहीं किया गया. बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स ही दे हैव टेस्टेड. Optics में again there were particularly questions from lens combinations, interference patterns. Thermodynamics के भी काफ़ी questions थे, mainly from the first law and the Carnot cycle, which are pretty standard. So yeah, again physics was pretty much doable, somewhat like BITSAT paper, but calculations काफ़ी ज़्यादा थे and lengthy काफ़ी ज़्यादा था physics का paper, which was a bit unexpected. Now talking about chemistry, you will see a contrast between the shift 1 and the shift 2. Chemistry was difficult in shift 2. There were a lot of questions from ionic equilibrium, chemical kinetics, काफ़ी reaction mechanisms, SN1, SN2, Hoffman reaction, biomolecules के भी काफ़ी सारे questions पूछे गए थे. So if you left biomolecules, अभी शायद regret हो रहा होगा कि वो structures याद कर लेने चाहिए थे या वो information याद कर लेनी चाहिए थी. There were a lot of questions. Also like shift 1, P block का weightage बहुत ज़्यादा था. काफ़ी सारे questions were from P block. Also a lot of questions from coordination chemistry. So basically talking about the level, as shift 1 was completely NCERT based, Shift 2 was also very NCERT based, but the concepts were coupled and दो चैप्टर के क्वेश्चंस क्लब्ड तरीके से आए थे, जैसे कि ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री एंड केमिकल काइनेटिक्स वर मिक्स्ड. इस टाइप के मिक्स्ड क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए थे, मेकिंग केमिस्ट्री अ लेवल अप एंड अ बिट चैलेंजिंग फॉर स्टूडेंट्स. Again, maths was no different than shift 1. It involved a lot of calculation, lengthy calculations, which ultimately consumed a lot of time. So physics and maths both were calculative in this particular shift. Talking about the topics, the chapters, calculus again, especially differential equation and definite integrals were dominated. इसके अलावा coordinate geometry, surprisingly not from circles and straight lines that much, but from parabola and ellipse questions were asked. From algebra, complex numbers as well as matrices and determinants were also dominant. And lastly, vector 3D as always had a significant portion. Overall, talking about maths ka paper, around 30% of the paper involved a lot of calculations, which will take more than 3 minutes to solve a particular question. So proper skimming of the paper was needed, as already we discussed in the strategy part on how to attempt the paper. There we told you that leave the questions at first which seem lengthy and do the easy questions first, and then give time to these questions which consume a lot of time, more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and solve these questions at the end. And थोड़ी सी relief people got in English and logical reasoning being easy and very very doable. English was also very easy, and logical reasoning had standard questions from series and then other standard questions from different topics, very very similar to your mock tests. So overall, talking about the shift 2, it was definitely tougher than the shift 1. It involved more calculation, it was more lengthy and required more time for many questions. But if you maintained your calm and composure and followed the proper strategy of skimming the questions and finding the easy questions and doing them first, then definitely both the papers were quite doable. They were not extremely hard, unlike जैसा नीट का फिजिक्स आ गया था ना. It was not like that. When we say BITSAT का पेपर टफ आया था, it means that It involved a lot of calculations, it was lengthy, and some questions were tricky and involved a lot of conceptual clarity. So this was just the first day. There are few more days to go. All the very best for your upcoming attempts. I'll give the PDF link of the complete analysis of both the shift in the description as well as in the comment box. You can go and read that as well. Again, जिसका BITSAT नहीं हुआ, keep your mind open. Anything can happen in the upcoming shifts. And as always, all the very best. साथ में फोड़ेंगे.